So my data set is on German car sales. So the data set is scraped off eBay. It was done in about 2016. So yeah, all this data set's in German, and I found it on this Kaggle website over here. That's a map I made from the data. These are the columns that I got. So I got date crawled, like name, seller, blah, 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 blah. It would have been interesting to use the dates, but I couldn't because it was only taken in like a 3-month time period, and there's not much you can tell from 3 months. So anyway, without further ado, these are like my columns. So as you see, they're all in German. So like fuel type, benzene is petrol and diesel and whatnot. We'll go through that later. So first of all, I just did some basic car statistics. Like 78% of people in Germany drive manual cars. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And apparently it's because, yeah. So apparently they do it because like getting a driver's license is pretty expensive, and so everyone does their test in manual, which I thought was pretty interesting. And car fuel types, so most of them are petrol and diesel, and there's a couple of LPGs. Right, so I did some initial data speculation. So the average like car horsepower was around 100 horsepower, and the average year of manufacture was 2004. So this data set was in 2016. So it looks like people are selling their cars around the 10-year mark. And yeah, so just for equivalence, that's the Toyota Yaris, and that has about 100 horsepower. So for a 10-year-old manual petrol car of around 100 horsepower, like nowadays, you can buy like a Toyota Camry for around $10,000. And considering inflation and depreciation and whatnot, so the average car price in Germany at that time was 6,000 AUD or 4,000 euros. So that's pretty cheap. Why are cars in Germany so cheap? Because the automotive industry in Germany is really big. I don't know if you know that, but yes, they produce a lot of cars in Germany. So they're pretty cheap over there. I studied the brand and models, and the most popular car was a Volkswagen Golf, and it's been the top selling car from 1974 to now. And in Europe, it's been the top selling car to 2019, and it just got overtaken by the Renault Clio. So car manufacturers and companies. So as you saw before, there's heaps of brands in Germany being sold, but and a lot of them are Volkswagen. But I didn't know that Volkswagen owns other companies like Audi, Bugatti, Skoda, Porsche, and even Lamborghini. So what I did was I studied the family manufacturers, like the family companies, and I did a couple graphs on them. So this is a bar graph with all the different cars. It's a bit hard to see on my screen, but I've got another representation here. So as you see, Volkswagen's selling a lot of cars. Then you got your independents in the top right corner and a whole lot of others everywhere else. Here's another graph. This is a 2D tree graph. So you can see the parent companies and the respective car brands inside. So that's pretty interesting. So this is the count of the German cars, and this is a graph I found online of like a total world count. It's in 2019. This one's in 2016, so it's not extremely valid, but it's just interesting to see that Germans sort of stick to their German cars. They're not really buying Japanese cars like Toyota. They're still buying Fords, but like, yeah, they're sticking to the European and German cars, which is understandable because they're so cheap. And I studied a bit of Volkswagens because Volkswagens was the top selling car. The Golf and the Polo are the two top selling cars as well. So then I did some map analysis. I made that graph as well. And yeah, so this blue state over here, Leipzig, I didn't know, but I wasn't getting any data from that country. I thought like this eBay excluded it, but then I found out it was because the first digit of the postcode starts with 0, and I lost it due to int and string stuff. So that's my columns. Won't go too much into detail. So yeah, so I did some, because I added the car data to the respective postcodes, and I found some interesting stuff. So like the most powerful cars, you can find them in Sternberg, were around 850 horsepower. I used like a count of greater than 20 for reliability for the car sales. And I did some town facts like Sternberg beer is made here, and like the most expensive car. Oh no, another one. Yeah, the least powerful cars in this place called Dusseldorf, and it's one of the wealthiest cities in Germany. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yes, let's get to the cool maps. So this is the top selling. This is the city with the most amount of cars being sold, and I thought it was pretty interesting because it's really dense right in the middle, and I think that's because everyone around the suburbs is just using that middle town as the postcode for their car sales because they're a bit lazy. These are car types. I converted them from German. I won't go too much into them. This is interesting as well. This is the population. These are the car sales. So you can see there's more cars being sold in higher populated areas as you look around these top left side. This is just gearbox and fuel type. They're scattered everywhere. I researched like where the cars are being sold. So there's Volkswagens everywhere. It's pretty interesting to see. BMW, there's a lot of BMWs being sold in the bottom right. And these are like the factory locations that I found online as well. This is the car price average. This is pretty cool because you see the towns where there's a low count of cars, the cars are a lot more expensive. And we'll just keep going. This is more price as well. So this is the cost of living in a town, and then I compared that to the price. And final thoughts, if you live in Germany, there's a high chance you own a 10-year-old Volkswagen Golf. There are more car sales in high populated areas, well, and more expensive in cities with low sale counts. So if you want a cheap car, buy one from Calbee. And Volkswagen sells a lot of cars and owns a lot of car manufacturers. And what's called? Yeah, people in Munich like BMWs, so they're probably bad drivers. And that's it.
Oh, nice. There was actually a paper published last year called "Not All People Who Drive BMW Are Arsehole." And Hank has a BMW, so he's very pleased with that. Okay, that was interesting. The maps were good. I think the same with a lot of people, the sort of time got away with you. Everything always takes longer to present when you're really presenting. So
yeah,
kind of cut to the chase and get to the stuff that you're really talking about. The Leipzig thing, I think, was fine in most cases, except for the cost of living thing, because the zero threw you off. And so it squashed all your other variables into all your other values in there. Otherwise, I thought it was very good, very interesting. I think the correlation between the type of car you drive and the proximity to the factory was fascinating. I think that sort of thing would be worth investigating a bit more. But the general gist of things was that like the Opals don't seem to be made near where people drive the Opals, which is kind of an odd one. But it would be interesting to see if that maps more strongly to location or to like income. Maybe poorer people drive Opals or something like that. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Anyway.
I just got a quick question, Jake. Does your data trace back to like World War II? Because it's interesting because Volkswagen is like one of the car brands that Hitler kind of gave off to people if they, give birth or like for other different reasons, and he had all these promises. So it's kind of interesting for a car brand to still be popular even if it had such a bad reputation back in World War II.
Well, no, I did not research at all.
It's interesting how it's still like 63% is like still like one of the highest cars in Germany, even if it had such a shitty reputation back in the day.
Yeah, well, I know they've been selling the top car research, and I found they've been selling the top car since 1974.
1974, okay.
So I don't know when I don't know when Hitler was around. I think it was before that.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that
Definitely
majority of German companies helped during World War II. Like some of the biggest companies in the world were helping Hitler.